at King of the Pit TV signing in. Yo, started a new discography today. Listen to something new. I can't even remember the name of the record. Do you reckon it'll cancel if I do this? In the Sign of Evil, the EP by Sodom. Ooh, right. Cool artwork for a start, yeah? I've heard the Sodom to some extent. I didn't expect it to sound like this from the get-go, though. Back when I used to chill more regular with a bunch of friends, we'd have a few records on and all that. A couple of people got gassed on Agent Orange, and in particular, Tied and Red, I think, was the name of the record. And one particular riff in that, so I heard that a couple of times, to be honest with you. That was about as much as I knew about this band, Sodom. Got a double cup, because it's nice and warm. Nice little black coffee Americano. We keep it large, you know what we do here, large and in charge people. So I banged this EP on to start the discography, yeah? Interesting stuff. First and foremost, I've not kept my ear to the ground to hearing this record referenced as a starting point and influence to what was to come in black metal. I mean, you can hear it through and through. There are some bands like Venom and so on and so forth who are referenced, but they don't have the sound Sodom has. It's definitely a lot more direct in reference to black metal. The vocal line, the raspy, grim and frostbitten vocals are so blatant that it goes without saying that this was one of the root of that subgenre of metal music. Now, I think this record was put out in 84 because on a couple of YouTube playlists and full album streams, it states 84, but Wikipedia says 85. So I don't know what we are, what year we're in with this record. I'd like to say 84, to be honest, at this point, because I've got 2-1 as far as referring to the date. Sound-wise, we got five tunes on this EP. I heard a big punk influence, especially on the first number. Vocal-wise, yeah, we heard the metal, we heard the black metal and where that was coming from. Thrash metal pitting music, yeah, but it wasn't thrash in the sense that we were tremolo picking the low E. You know what I mean? There was less heavy metal and more punk, in my opinion, at least with that very first track. When we got onto the second one, I felt like, the second tune at least, I felt that was the low point of the record because we had gone from this like slow-mo, into this really fast punk slam riff, but we did it like back and forth 3 times, if not 4 times, and it just felt repetitive. So that was my opinion on there. I didn't mind the sound they had when they had one idea, plain and simple, and just drilled it from start to finish, such as the first track, such as the third track. The last track had a few experimental sounds, and as far as the production, sound engineering is concerned, came across a little bit different. I felt it was a bit too late to start throwing in like alternate ideas and so forth, because the standard they had up until that point was okay. We didn't want to have a different sound, but me as an artist myself who's messed around in a few metal bands and that, I know how easy it is to go into the studio and think, oh, it's the last track, let's do something special, let's do something unique and different. Or even the sound producer coming across that way, because I've had sound engineers and producers who have just been like, oh, it's a bonus track, let's make it sound wacky for some strange reason, and it completely, you know what I mean? The problem is, if it sounds really good, then you've got a really good sound just at the last track and it's a bit random. I mean, I guess you can mature from that and say, right, our next record has to sound like that, and you can, you know, hear back from it. I guess it's better than not, but if it goes wrong, it just sounds like shit, you know what I mean? And I think on this Sodom record, that last track, with the differentiation in sound, it just doesn't sound as good. I don't like it. So that's it. It's a blazing record. Production value, it seems to err from track to track, the quality of production. But overall, the production isn't bad. timing is a bit off and so forth. Like, you can tell it's a budget production. The producer hasn't kept him in line saying you need to replay that, keep that in time and so forth, because it does fall apart from time to time, ever so subtly, which gives it a great organic sound if you're into that. I mean, when I was doing the listen through and commentating on it, what I was speaking on was, I'd like this, if I was a record collector or even collecting CDs or anything in regards, I would like this in my collection purely as it is a pure form of band music. It's not polished to the extent where it's been, you know, the lines have been blurred a little bit to make it sound a little more friendly, a little more quality, so to speak. So in a way it does lack out on the quality it could, but at the same point, to somebody like me and to like these purist metalheads who are out there, it's going to sound more organic, more literal, and, you know, a little more metal, man. A little less pop, a little more metal, and that is a blessing and a curse when it comes to this record. The artwork's really good. I swear I've seen the artwork here and there before, so people do represent that artwork. I think it's good. It's good looking artwork. And that's about it for the most part. I mean, I don't have an incredible amount to talk on. You know, from a little bit of punk rock, it sort of came across as a bit like of a D-beat rock and roll band for the most part. But then we had a few black and thrash moments, and yeah, I'll sort of leave that one there. It's given me food for thought. Would I listen to the record again? Not necessarily, because it feels like a band trying to find its feet as opposed to a band who is secure and safe and sound. Feels like there's progression to be made, and in that progression being made, I know that later on in the discography, if not the debut LP, I'm going to find a little more security in the sound of the record, a little more security in the identity of the band and the record, and a little bit more of a connection and a message to be made and such. So that was it. And without further ado, I'm signing out. I'm going to give it a little rating, because I know there's better things to come. Because I'm not a black metal head, and because I'll give it a 5 out of 10 as far as my genuine rating, but I'll give it about a 6.5 to 7 out of 10 as far as like a cult status rating goes, because there's definitely an element, an atmosphere and content within that EP that you won't find in your general high produced, high polished, well technical metal records. You know where I'm coming from? So as far as historical context and the energy and the spirit and the vibration I feel from it personally, I'll give it about, yeah, call it a 7 out of 10. But as far as me listening and my audio experience and my enjoyment, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. I might even give it a 4 out of 10, but if I hang on any longer, I'll just end up shunning it. So that was Sodom. I'm looking forward to get through the discography, and I'm going to sign out, people. One love.